More on Rachel Zegler saying things against the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and also the Fable.
On her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird, weird.
Super weird.
So
Then why did she sign up for the role then? If you hate it, then why are you destroying a movie that people would probably want someone else to fill in instead of a Latina actress making a big deal about the story and then just want to destroy completely and people like, oh, because she's so oppressed about it. Then go do another different role then. That's something that she would probably like.
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
pay your fucking writers, pay your fucking actors.
The paying your actors and actresses, that is a good point. And people, the producers and everyone who makes the iconic TV shows and movies that we all want to watch, not just because they deserve to be paid, but you know they put some effort into it, so they deserve appreciation. But she needs to stop cursing. We don't. I don't want to get monetized.
I have residual checks that would shock you, and I've only made 2 movies.
We don't just sit around and say, yeah, we grew up watching this movie called Snow White in all these other countries, and all of a sudden you show up?
So you probably already know that Rachel Zegler has been super open and outspoken about dealing with critics of the upcoming Snow White project. She's not holding back at all on social media, where she's firing off loads of tweets defending her casting and taking on those who aren't excited about the film.
Are you being casted in a classic film to remake it, but you don't seemingly like your own character? So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
This person tweeted, "The fact that everyone is so unhappy with Rachel Zegler and Snow White shows how everyone not just conservatives, is done with the strong female lead trope. It's
Oh yeah, and also people are blaming on certain political parties, and that's not the case. And people are tired of all this propaganda and having to change things just to fit in with the new generation because they felt left out and not represented enough. Although we've had films where there's like lead characters that are male, female, and the different racial backgrounds, and yeah, we've had that, but we used to focus on the storylines and how we were trying to focus on happy endings, right? And most Disney productions were focusing on happy endings, unlike tragic ones.
overdone and the girls are tired of it." And this person pointed out some incredible hypocrisy from Rachel with, 3 years ago, Rachel Zegler sent her fans to bully Gina Carano over the...
Gina Carano was, former Star Wars cast, newer ones, not the original 6. This was like when Daisy Ridley and other people showed up, and there was like 7, 8, and a whole bunch of side projects and spin-offs that was happening, and they were all unique and they were good in their own way. And Daisy Ridley she was pretty good too. And Gina Carano she was a castmate, but people were hating on her for just because of her opinions, and she joined Daily Wire and spoke about her viewpoints and how things are changing in the media and as the actress herself. And this is just unfortunate, and the fact that Rachel Zegler decided to encourage people to attack a fellow actress, that is just a terrible move. Just because you have a different viewpoint than another person, that does not give you the right to that. Oh, I don't like that person. Go attack her. And this is not like political parties we're talking here. Like, sure, Gina Carano may think they're different than you, but why are you just encourage people to attack her just because she thinks different from you? And this just makes Rachel Zegler label herself a bully, and she's also targeting, pushing people to force them to accept the new ways of race swapping. As we already had the Tinkerbell characters race swapped, we've had Ariel race swapped, we've had the documentary of Queen Cleopatra the Fourth race swapped. That was Jada Pinkett Smith's fault. She used an African American instead of an actual Egyptian African actress to play the Queen Cleopatra, which would have made it more accurate. So that would be sort of like a mixed color, mixed between white and black. And there are 3 color groups in Africa, which one is white, typically the closer to the like Charlize Theron. And some people who are really black, around like Wesley Snipes, black, and then they're like kind of mixed, which is like right in between brown. And notice that tweet, I hope the world becomes kinder, which she used the exact same words, and yet she's pushing race swapping, and she's enforcing it. And she's acting like an entitled brat. How can people like her?
Boop bop beep pronouns thing. Gina just called Rachel out as a lying hypocrite after she tweeted, "I hope the world becomes kinder." Rachel Zegler is finally reaping what she sowed. This person, however, had a different opinion. I thought Rachel Zegler had murdered someone based on how mad people are, but as it turns out, she's just done the same thing a million male actors have done before, and nobody cared.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah.
On the flip side, it's interesting to note that Gal Gadot hasn't really shown any public support for Rachel Zegler or said much about Snow White. Even when she's asked about the movie in interviews, Gal Gadot is all about the film itself.
Her name is pronounced Gal Gadot. She had to correct Sean Evans at the interview show. And this is a complete just another problem that she's causing.
And her own performance. She's not getting into the whole chatter around the film's message or politics.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Normally, when a fellow actor...
Yeah, just because you don't like it, that doesn't mean I don't like it. You should hate it, because she's literally just is forcing this.
Is getting flack for a role, co-stars would chime in to show their support and shut down any hate. But in this case, Gal Gadot is keeping her distance from all that drama. It's worth mentioning that Gadot has...
Gal Gadot has better things to do than having to deal with a bratty child who's oppressed about everything and would not just. And she should just focus on acting and instead of acting like a social justice activist.
Been vocal about not liking how women characters have been portrayed on screen lately. She's made statements.
There have been a lot of good female lead characters, and they were depicted well, and there were great female actresses who played the roles well, whether it was live action or it was they were on the mic doing voice acting. Rachel Zegler is not one of them.
About wanting to see more authentic differences between male and female characters instead of just following a one-size-fits-all approach. Interestingly, the qualities she's been critical of in modern strong female characters are quite similar to how Snow White seems to be written. No wonder she's not exactly the film's biggest cheerleader. What's
originally in the fable that this was like back in the old days, and then the Walt Disney, the people who work for him, they made an animated movie, and of course they tried to make it less violent and made it family friendly, and that's how things were written. But if she, Rachel, were to read the fables, she would be losing her mind. And this was back in the old days when women had no power, wherever in the world it was. So if she's making a big deal about something that was written way before she was born, and yeah, she has no right to change any of that. And people who try to erase history, they end up repeating the bad thing that happened in history, whether it's racism or sexism or whatever else.
cool, though, is how Gal Gadot is setting an example for how an artist should handle this kind of situation.
Yes.
She's focusing on the film itself, her role and her performance, rather than jumping into the fray and attacking fans or getting into politics. It's a different path from Rachel Zegler, who's taken a more confrontational approach, which might not be the best move for building.
Although Gal Gadot, she's Israeli, and a lot of people have been harassing her for her culture and dropping comments, "Free Palestine." So that's the only thing Gal Gadot is under attack for. And Rachel Zegler, she's just adding more fuel to the fire. And which Rachel Zegler should really shut up. At least she's not talking, not saying "Free Palestine."
Positive environment around the movie. Ziegler's gone after fans a bunch of times, which doesn't seem like the best way to win over the very audience she wants to buy tickets to see the film. So first off, Rachel Zegler, the actress who scored the role of Snow
Rachel Zegler.
White, has been stirring up quite the storm. One major bone of contention is her handling of fans and critics. She's been pretty forthright on social media, which is great for expressing opinions, but she's taken it a step further by lecturing fans who don't agree with her or the project, and that...
Well, they do have to have their own opinions, and I don't like it, and they're not going to watch it, and that's what they're doing, and then she's going to say, "You have to watch it because you have to support me and what I'm and the other people in this who in the casting are trying to put in the storyline." And she wants everyone to accept this oppression and representation that they're trying to lead and trying to make changes.
Where things get a bit dicey. The thing is, Zegler is just 22 and has already achieved multimillionaire status. That's fantastic for her, of course, but it does raise eyebrows when she comes out telling fans how they should think.
People who are at a young age. She's around the same age as Billie Eilish. And Billie Eilish, she was under fire for how she was trying to imitate how Asians talk. So yeah, and she's the same age as me, only 4 months younger. So she's 21, and she didn't know and how to behave, and her brother Phineas had to tell, no, don't do this. And she was under fire for that, labeled racist. And the fact that Gal Gadot and also Gina Carano had to tell her, don't. There are young actors and actresses who have to learn from those who came before them. Okay, this is how they experienced when they were in the industry. And now this is my turn. How is it different? And what I can learn from these former people before me, and I can learn from their experiences, and I can do better from any mistakes that may have came from the industry before. She could learn a whole bunch of stuff about that, and instead she is ignoring any tips that these actors and actresses are telling her, that this is what the mistakes that have been happening in the industry, this is what I went through, this is what you can do, this is how some tips that you can do to do better as an person in the acting. And she is ignoring everything they are saying.
Especially when there are other actors in the industry struggling to make ends meet. Some of these actors might make around 30 grand in an entire year. And here's Zegler asking for more money. It's not exactly sitting well with everyone. Zegler's commitment to the role is clear, and she's spending a lot of time working on becoming the best Snow White possible. However, it's this mindset that because she's dedicating so much time to it, she deserves more recognition and compensation, which is irking some folks. While her dedication is commendable, there's an element of entitlement that's not sitting right with fans and critics alike. What's interesting is that her approach seems to have added fuel to the negative fire online. The backlash against the film seems to be gaining momentum, and Zegler's attitude has played a part in that. By taking on fans and posting negative tweets, she's inadvertently inviting more criticism. It's like a cycle that's not doing the film any favors.
Yeah, the more negative things you say, you're not going to be appreciated. Yeah, she could be the next talented actress, but how she's approaching it, no.
On the other hand, the fact that her co-stars like Gal Gadot have decided not to dive into fan battles or political debates has been seen as a good thing. This is kind of the approach that fans generally expect from actors focusing on the craft and the production rather than getting caught up in the whirlwind of online drama. It's worth noting that Gadot has had her share of controversies too. We've seen the whole COVID video incident and her statements around Wonder Woman. However, what stands out is that she's actually listened to fan feedback and made an effort to improve. This willingness to grow and learn from mistakes is something fans appreciate. So what's the takeaway from this whole situation? Well, it's a complex mix of personalities, opinions, and the dynamics of the entertainment industry. Zegler's passion for the role is undeniable, but her approach to addressing critics might not be winning her many fans.
Gal Gadot is dealing with Free Palestine, and you're Israeli. You're the people from that back country you are from, they're bad people, if that stereotype.
On the other hand, Gadot seems to be a bit more tactful in handling the PR side of things, which could be beneficial for the film's overall perception. In the end, movies like Snow White are meant for the fans. They're the ones who will be buying tickets, discussing the film, and keeping the buzz alive. So it's important to strike the right chord with them, regardless of an actor's personal opinions. And Snow White isn't the only film Rachel has managed to land herself in hot water over, as she told The Hollywood Reporter at the premiere of 2023 movie Shazam! Fury of the Gods. She only made the movie as she needed a job at the time, as filming was around the pandemic, and West Side Story had yet to come out. The film later bombed at the box office and got a rating of just 49% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, and no doubt movie execs will be hoping her comments about the upcoming Snow White movie won't affect its performance at the box office when it is finally released. PR expert Nick Eade told Mail Online that perhaps Rachel isn't the best person to promote the film, despite playing the main character, because she has actively chosen to spoil the narrative. Zegler scored the role of Disney's original princess in June 2021, just 4 months before Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story propelled her to stardom, clinching her a Best Actress award at the Golden Globe Awards. Some critics initially questioned Zegler's casting due to her being a Latina actress of Colombian descent, portraying a character traditionally described as having skin as white as snow. In response, Zegler...
And she's doing a role, her name is Snow White, not white as snow. So she's trying to change things compared to David Hand Jr., who produced the original 1937 movie, animated.
Had a candid conversation with Spider-Man star Andrew Garfield on Variety's Actors on Actors series. She emphasized the need to guide her detractors in the right direction and expressed her excitement about playing a Latina princess regardless of the controversy.
And yet, while listening to some advice, she's not taking it, and it's just filtering through her ears, and which is not something you should be doing if you're in acting and just doing it for the money. If you really like acting, you should really just listen to your predecessors like Gal Gadot and Gina Carano instead of fighting them, and just because you don't want to hear what they're saying, just because you don't agree what they say, and don't act like a social justice activist.
Never in a million years did I imagine that this would be a possibility for me, she told him. You don't normally see Snow Whites of Latin descent, even though Snow White is a big deal in Spanish-speaking countries. Blanca Nieves is a huge icon, whether you're talking about the Disney cartoon or just different iterations and the fairy tale and all the stories that come with it. But you don't particularly see people who look like me or are me playing roles like that. When it was announced...
There are people who are Latinos and Latinas that are big names, who are really talented. They just don't have the opportunity yet. They need to have like an A-lister just to get that role, as Salma Hayek explains, who is the producer and well-known Mexican and Latina actress.
It was a huge thing that was trending on Twitter for days. All the people were angry. Zegler also addressed the casting criticism again in a recent post on X, formerly Twitter, where she shared pictures of herself as a young princess. She expressed deep appreciation for those defending her online, while requesting not to be tagged in pointless discussions about her casting. She left...
And also, it's also the Seven Dwarfs. 6 out of 7 of the dwarfs are regular-sized men, while 1 is an actual dwarf. That's also why that film was under fire. So we just see how toxic Rachel Zegler is. So let's... Hopefully the next film she is, she doesn't act like this. And actually, if her co-stars who are way older than her, who has more experience than her, teaches her, don't act like that. Because she can really learn her lesson and be a better actress. Because you can always learn from the ones who came before you. And Rachel Zegler, she needs to learn that.